Hi, I'm Mike from Golioth. I'm here with Marco, also from Golioth, to talk about Thread networking today. You've done an awesome demo that puts this technology together. I think probably not very many people have tried it out yet. Maybe some people haven't heard that much about it, but it is probably going to get pretty big. So it's cool that we have something to show off today. Can you tell us a little bit about like what Thread is and kind of what you've put together to show it off?
Hey Mike, so Thread is a IPv6 based networking protocol that's designed for low power IoT devices. We don't have to go into the details of how it works and why, but as a high level, you can use a Nordics 52840 SoC that everyone knows. It's a Bluetooth development kit, and we can also use it for Thread.
Yeah, so like the radio on that is really like software configurable. I also think, we talk about that 802.15.4, but I think of it as like, think about Wi-Fi. It's like another way to use the same bandwidth that Wi-Fi uses, but that meshing is really cool, right? So it like lets the devices like self-organize and talk to each other.
Yeah, exactly. And on top of the 802.15.4, Thread also uses the 6LoWPAN. It's a IPv6 protocol that's used for transmissioning the IPv6 packets over the 802.15.4 network.
Cool. Should we jump into the demo?
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about... So we have created a new reference design, an OpenThread demo. This is our projects page where you can read a bit more about it. We talk about the border router, we talk about thread nodes, and if we go to the thread border router, we are using a off-the-shelf GLS 200 border router that everyone can buy, and it is, let's call it preset for thread use. Up until now, you would have to use a Raspberry Pi, set it up yourself, enable and set up the Net64 translating layer, whatever that is. But with the GLS 200, everything is set up everything is set up out of the box.
Yeah. So if you think about like a Wi-Fi network, you'd buy a Wi-Fi router and connect it to Ethernet to give it a pipe to the internet. This is like the same thing, but it's for the Thread technology. It gives that a pipe to the internet.
Exactly. So the border router is used to connect the Thread-enabled network with the, let's say, your Wi-Fi network or Ethernet network. And if we go to the admin panel of the GLS 200, we can see that it basically has the same look as any other Wi-Fi router. We can see that we are connected to the over Ethernet to the outside network, so to the outer world, and I am connected to it with my laptop, and we also have a Thread device connected to it. So this is the Thread network details, and what you are going to need for this demo is the network name, which is Golioth Thread in this case, and the network key. Basically, and maybe the channel. Default value is 26. Basically, these three informations are what, with these three information, you'll be able to connect your Nordic-based device to your Thread network. And in the Thread topology, we can see that I already have my NRF 52840DK connected to the border router.
Yeah, in this case, we just have like one leader and one node device, but we've done demos where we've seen like multiple node devices, and there'll be like different diagrams showing them connecting to each other. And then eventually there's always a route back to the border router itself. So that gives all of them an IPv6 connection. I noticed when you're showing off the summary page that the router itself has an IPv4 IP address. So this must also be doing the translation between IPv6 and IPv4 addresses.
Exactly. At the moment I'm at the office, and my office network is IPv4 and the Thread network is IPv6 based. And if you go into the advanced tab here, we can see that the next Net64 translation layer has been enabled on this router, and we don't have to set it up ourselves. Let's take a look now at the Golioth console and the devices that we have connected to the cloud. So at this project, I have only one device, the 52840DK. If you take a look at it, we see all the summary of the devices. I'm using the PSK ID and PSK, so like a username and password to authenticate my device to the Golioth cloud. And we can see that I'm running the firmware version 1.0.0. And this demo is based on the reference design template. I'm sure that many of you are familiar with it and that you have been using it for your projects. With this demo, we have basically threadified the reference design template so you can exploit and use all of our features. So from LightDB state, LightDB stream, log settings, remote procedure calls, and even firmware updates. So if we look at LightDB stream, for instance, if I auto refresh, on the 52840 DK, I can press a button and send the counter value to the, why it's not here? Oh,
there it comes.
There it comes. Okay. So maybe my network is a bit lossy.
Yeah, and so if you think about like an industrial automation sort of thing, like you might have a factory floor that is got sensors for temperature, or maybe has vibration sensors, or current threshold sensors. So if you have any data coming back that needs to be alerted, it would show up here automatically through the Thread network.
Exactly. We also have logs that you can use for debugging. We can see that I had a bit of resends in the last 10 seconds. Maybe my router is in the other office space, so maybe the device disconnected from it. We also have the settings. So as you know, with the reference design template, we only have the loop delay setting that we can change. So basically, how often do we send the fake sensor or counter data to the cloud? We can change it to 10 seconds. And if we sync it, it should be synchronized. And now the data will come into the LightDB stream every 10 seconds. We also have the remote procedure calls. So we have the reboot with this OpenThread demo. We have implemented the reboot RPC and also the set log level.
One thing that comes to mind, so if you have some sensors out there, does it matter for the Thread network, like what hardware is connected to the sensor, or is it like once you get on Thread, you can do whatever you want?
No, of course not. You can to your SoC or the 52840 DK, you can connect whatever hardware you want, whatever sensors or actuators. The connectivity part is separate from the hardware part. Let's call it like that, from the sensor part. So you can connect your sensors. You can have multiple nodes, like 10, 20, 30 nodes in your office, in your home, that are all connected to one border router that's giving those nodes internet access to the outer world or to Golioth cloud.
That's awesome. And so we have a complete guide for this up on our projects.golioth.io site, which is what Marco was showing before. If people want to get up and started running with this right away, what's the hardware that you would suggest they go to first?
Well, for this demo, we have the follow-along guide for the 52840 DK. So in this follow-along guide, we have explained how to flash the firmware, how to build the firmware, from where you can download it. So we have a repository here. We have one release so far with the full hex files, with the files that you can update from. You can do OTA update from the Golioth console. And we have also enabled this demo to be used with the Adafruit Feather 52840 board, which is in a smaller, more compact Feather format that you can utilize. And it's the board is more cheaper than the fully fledged DK that you would use for your, let's call it like full-on development. The Adafruit Feather 52840 DK, the Adafruit Feather can be used for your projects and for, let's say, playing around and having multiple nodes and learning Thread.
I think it's funny that if we had if we had been making this video 15 years ago, we'd probably be talking about like how to hook up Wi-Fi and giving people a guide to do that because Wi-Fi was so new. And I think Thread's in the same place. Like we don't see yet a widespread use of Thread, but I think it's going to pick up. And it has been, difficult to get this up and running. But with the work that you've laid out here, I think people could get up and running in an afternoon as long as they have the hardware on hand.
Yeah, I would agree. So the nodes, that's fairly easily to come by. Basically, if a board has Nordic's Bluetooth chip, you're good to go. The harder part, let's say, is the border router that's basically doing all the orchestration there, and that has traditionally been more harder part to get up. If there are folks that have been using Raspberry Pi, they certainly know this, but that's why this demo is cool, because it uses a off-the-shelf border router that it's basically set up. You can play in it. You don't have to. It all depends on your preference.
Yeah, and then once you have a network of nodes up and running, you do need some way to control them, to like get your device management, get your data routing on them. You already mentioned over-the-air update for all of those nodes, and then with the Golioth pipelines release that we had earlier this year, we see the ability to transform that data if you want and route it to like any cloud service that you have. And so it kind of like completes that loop of from where the device is actually installed all the way up to where you need control and data on the cloud, which is pretty awesome. So if you want to put this together, head over to project.golioth.io, give it a try. We'd love to hear about how it goes or hear any of your questions. We have a forum.golioth.io for that. And I'm really excited that we got to show this off today. Thank you so much, Marko.
Thank you.